This here is ethanol, and
It smells and tastes awful, but here I have a full cup. And the plan is to take E85 flex fuel and turn it into ethanol. Hopefully drinkable, but probably not.
now the first step is going to be doing a washing. We're going to get 250 milliliters of E85 fuel and the same amount in distilled water. After that, we're going to shake it vigorously and burping it to mix both of the layers. Two layers should form. The top hydrocarbon layer, which contains different types of hydrocarbons like benzene and hexane, and then a bottom aqueous layer of water and dirty ethanol. We're going to collect the bottom layer of water and ethanol, and then we're going to drain and discard the top layer of hydrocarbons. The reason this works is because water and ethanol are slightly polar, meaning they'll dissolve in one another, while hydrocarbons are all non-polar, meaning that they won't mix in water and will separate out on the top layer, as hydrocarbons in gasoline are less dense than water, which is really convenient and helps us separate them. The next step is doing a fractional distillation. Ethanol in water forms an isotope that boils at 98.15 Celsius at a 95.6% ethanol. As the fuel I'm using is 83% ethanol and we're using 3.79 liters, the total yield should be about 3.2841 liters. As I've said before, the first step is to measure out 250 milliliters of our fuel. Next, add the fuel into a 500 milliliter separatory funnel. And make sure to close the valve, as you don't want to spill any of it, as it would be a big mess. Next, add 250 milliliters of distilled water into the separatory funnel. Now adding both liquids, it should look something like this. You can clearly see two layers forming instantly. Now you're going to have to shake it violently and make sure to burp it in between just in case, because water and ethanol mixing is exothermic and will release gases which can build up and pop the cork out. Now after shaking, let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. You should see two layers forming, the top hydrocarbon layer and the bottom aqueous layer. We're going to drain and collect the bottom aqueous layer and then discard the top hydrocarbon layer. After collecting your diluted dirty ethanol, make sure to store it in an appropriate bottle. You can store this ethanol in basically any plastic container, but I don't recommend storing it in a Diet Sam's Cola 2 liter, as you're gonna have to pay $1 to get it, which is low-key a scam. Now, after adding that ethanol into your plastic container, make sure to have it that it can handle pressure. If you can't, that's okay. You can slightly squeeze the bottle so when pressure builds up, it'll just expand without any damage. Now I'm going to repeat step 1 until I'll have no more fuel left.
3 days later.
Now, I only did the washes 4 times as I didn't really feel like sitting for 8 hours washing.
Bro, I'm about to just unlock a memory for you.
What you
Let me get my screen time. Let me get my screen.
What you know about brushing teeth 5 times a day? Mommy's dish on my teeth, stained but curry's only way. Why you hating on my food? Never had a chance to taste it, yeah. I need lifey rotis with some ghee on it, love it, yeah. What you know about running out of toothpaste?
I really hope I don't get copyright struck for that. But anyway, here I'm just waiting for the water or the solution to reach 78 degrees Celsius. That's when the ethanol reaches its isotope boiling point. It starts boiling over at the receiving flask. It takes a lot of time for me, especially because my hot plate is so small and I'm boiling a liter at a time. But I'm using a fractional distillation, as you see here, with a condenser that's running with ice cold water. Here's a closer look into my boiling flask. It's just a regular Erlenmeyer flask, and my hot plate is so small that it's struggling to heat up this liter. As you see here, I'm being frustrated that it's taking so long to heat up. But basically the plan is anything that is below 77 degrees Celsius I have to discard, and then everything that's between 78 and 82 I can collect, and anything above that I'll just discard as well. This is just to make sure there's going to be no hydrocarbons or carcinogens coming through, as a lot of them have similar boiling points. That's also another reason why I am using a fractional distillation. As you see here, the droplets of vapor are forming and falling back into the boiling flask to be boiled down further to get the most pure ethanol I can get from this E85 flex fuel. As you see here, some of my solution is coming through and it has reached 78 degrees Celsius. So I'm switching out my receiving flask for a clean round bottom liter flask, which I'm going to collect this ethanol in until it reaches 82 degrees Celsius. And then I'm going to take that round bottom flask and collect the ethanol inside. Here's a closer look at the setup during collection. The temperature has stabilized at a very hot 80 degrees Celsius, and the drip rate is pretty fast, so I'm just gonna sit here for a couple hours and just wait till it boils down. So here is the ethanol from last night's distillation. It's about 350 milliliters. After distilling the second liter, I have remained with 600 milliliters of ethanol. I put it back in the flask and redistilled it because it smelled like gasoline, which meant that some hydrocarbons have came through. The smell wasn't severe, but it was strong enough for me to want to redistill it a second time. Now here's the collection from the second distillation. I stopped halfway through because what I already had was way more than enough that I needed for my lab. Now the next step is to add activated charcoal into the ethanol, as this is going to suck in all of the hydrocarbons and carcinogens and will reduce the smell of the gasoline. This will also help purify the ethanol, as ethanol is way too small of a molecule to be affected by activated charcoal. Now after adding it, we're going to have to wait 24 hours or more for the activated charcoal to do its magic. In the meantime, while I'm waiting, I'm going to show you how big of a basketball prodigy I really am and what kind of beast I am on the court. Do not hustle me. Listen, I'm just saying, if LeBron could have gone to the 76ers, Lakers, I could take LeBron's spot. I am the #1 player in the court. Now back to chemistry. After letting this ethanol sit in this activated charcoal bath for 36 hours, I'm going to use a vacuum cleaner distillation setup with a slow filter paper. Now I have to filter a second time because some of the activated charcoal got through the filter paper and contaminated the ethanol.
Now, after 2 days of work, I got 273 milliliters of 95.6% ethanol. Now, I tried getting most of the carcinogens and hydrocarbons, like the aromatic ones, using activated charcoal. It still has its tiny scent of gasoline, which I don't like. So this means it's not food grade. Even if it didn't smell like gasoline, I would not recommend drinking this ethanol. This ethanol that I made is only going to be used for, well, laboratory purposes. And in the background, as you can see there, I'm setting fire of the rest of the fuel I had, which was about half a gallon. And I processed half a gallon, and I didn't even use all of that half a gallon. I only processed, I think it was 2 liters. I did 2 liters, and something about my, I guess, process was very ineffective, as my yield, well, if I processed 2 liters, it was equivalently 50% water, so 1 liter, equivalently 1/4. I don't know what happened to the rest of the ethanol, but still I'm happy with this. It is still a lot cheaper than it would have been to buy the same amount. Pretty sure it's like 15 bucks. I bought my liter for 90. I bought my 97% ethanol for about $30, and it was a liter. But that one is food grade. But this was pretty cheap. It's only like $3 a gallon, and the rest of the things that you need, like the activated charcoal, I guess, is like probably 30 cents. The amount I use is really cheap. Filter paper is pretty cheap, but nevertheless, it's pretty chill. I think there's only one thing left to do, is to shout out my Discord members. I love all of you guys. Make sure to join my Discord. And if you want to see me doing more of these projects, make sure to join my Patreon. Like, if you join my Patreon, I'll shout you out. I'll write your name on my lab coat. I'm not wearing it currently right now, but I'll write your name in my lab coat. And make sure to watch some of my Instagram videos. If you're coming from Instagram, make sure to write it down in the comments. I'm curious how many of you guys come from Instagram. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and do a clap.